Well, happy St. Patrick's Day. Happy feast day to all of you. Raise your hand if you have Irish roots. Let's see. In one way or another, we all do, thanks to the great St. Patrick's and his great work of evangelization, his missionary work, and how not only in Ireland, but then many of the Irish priests who did such a phenomenal job in evangelizing and building the Catholic Church within the United States. I had my own Irish pastor when I was an altar server and a seminarian at St. Paul, Monsignor Neff. So I remember one of his many quick liners. I remember getting all riled up for whatever reason things were happening in the parish or not happening in the parish. And then I would just talk to him and just a man of few words and great wisdom. After I told the whole story and what are we going to do and this and that, and he just looks at me and says, "This too shall pass." This too shall pass. And he had many quick lines like that you were like, all right, but you definitely recognize the wisdom in those few words. This too shall pass. I wonder how for St. Patrick's, something that I admire of St. Patrick's is the fact that in such an early age, I believe he was 16 years old when he was kidnapped, made into a slave, and served under very difficult conditions. He became a little shepherd, a slave servant shepherd, and he worked closely with a family who was one of the priests of the Druids community, and he got familiar with some of the cultic and rituals that. And after several years of slavery, of being kidnapped, away from parents, away from family, having to be in a whole different cultural context, different language, different people, and in the time being there, having to learn the language to be able to communicate and to learn what was being said or not said. Eventually, he managed to escape in his 20s and went back to his home and then felt the call to be a priest. He became a religious man, and as he was doing this, he kept feeling the call to go back to the place where he was a slave. Think about that. If you're in prison for several years and you manage to escape, will you want to go back? Why would you want to go back? They're the one who kidnapped you. They enslaved you, and God knows how you were treated. You were away from your parents and all that. And he wanted to go back. And the call was pretty strong to the point that he went back. Funny thing that he paid his own ransom. So he went back to pay his own ransom so that he could be free, and then began to minister to the people, to the Irish people. Thousands of baptisms. Today we heard the first reading about the flowing of water from the temple, and everything that the water touches begins to get full of life. In many ways, that's what we were also called to do, like St. Patrick's, to be part of that river, to be the river that flows from our baptism into having an impact on others, especially if you have difficulties with someone. If you thought it was difficult to forgive someone, to be nice to someone who's not so nice to you, think about St. Patrick's. Not only was he able to forgive, but he's able to come back, to return, and more than forgiving them, you could almost sense he fell in love with them. To feel the sense of compassion, of love, desiring the best for the other, and ultimately being their salvation. So we, in the spirit of St. Patrick's, what could be something, perhaps a relationship you're having difficulty with, that the Lord is prompting you to forgive, to be that stream of water flowing from the holy temple of Jesus Christ, flowing with forgiveness, with reconciliation, But more than forgiveness and reconciliation, wanting to flow with mercy and love, concern for the other's well-being, for their ultimate well-being, their own salvation, and your own willingness to lay down your life as Christ, but perhaps not just literally your own life, but laying down your pride, your resentment, your anger, your righteous indignation. It's natural to be upset. It's just how we are. But can you go beyond that? Can you allow the grace of God to flow as that great river that flows from the holy temple, to be that river for others, to forgive, to be reconciled, to love them, and to love them to the point of being concerned for the ultimate end, which is the salvation of all. So today, as we celebrate with great joy St. Patrick's, and as we gather today in this very humble altar, all of our sacrifices, all of our sufferings, all of our prayers, perhaps today it would be good to lay down in this altar your own pride, your own anger, your own righteous indignation, to just lay it down, to just, okay, I'm done with this. I'm tired of being angry and upset and resentful and bitter. I'm going to lay it down. And lay it down here, because this is from where the temple, from the living stream, from where that river flows. Because it is Christ Jesus, his own blood, his own water from his pierced side that we will be receiving, his own body, his blood. So just lay it down here and ask, through the intercession of St. Patrick, help me to be reconciled. Help me to be an instrument of living streams of water, concern for the salvation of others. Let me be an instrument of your love, an instrument of your mercy. So with that, let us stand and now present our prayers and petitions.